What is up, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to Chill with Pete, the coffee break catch-up series, where we get together, just have a little bit of a chill out cup of coffee, which I have 3D Monster Maze mug incoming. Just regular decaf, nothing fancy today. So I've not long had a pot of tea actually, so a bit teed out, so I thought, I could do it a coffee. And I'm aware I haven't been able to do one of these for a long time, for quite a while anyway. So I thought, well, let's do a chill with Pete and see where we go from there. But actually, I want to talk about something in this episode. I was going to do it as its own video, separate video, but I thought, well, I might as well combine it because just because. And I want to talk about the hobby Heyday, the Heyday for the hobby. Now, I've made a couple of little notes here just to write it down. So there's a couple of different things I thought about this. I was going to talk about, oh, by the way, the rain is really lashing down outside now. Yeah, I think summer is behind us now. I think we are into autumn. Anyway, yeah, so the Heyday for the hobby. Let's talk about that, because the reason I want to talk about it is because it comes up so often in my conversations with people. When I meet people, I talk to them about stuff, and they say, "Oh yeah, remember back in the heyday of the hobby." And I'm like, what does this person actually mean? Do they mean heyday for the game itself, or games, whatever game you're talking about? Do they mean the heyday for the miniatures? Because I think they're two different things, When I talk about heyday, hobby heyday, I talk about it from an era of no internet, mail order catalogues, that kind of thing. Let's take miniatures for example. I can remember ordering miniatures as a kid, with my pocket money, blah, blah, whatever, however, get my parents to order it for me, just give them the money. I'm going to go through a list and judge by the it would have like an item number or a part number or something, but then it would say something like, I don't know, paladin with mace or something like that, and you had no idea what this model looked like. Just you had to rely solely upon the description in said catalogue. I mean, they varied obviously, but that was kind of part of the excitement. I've ordered a thief, a one-handed thief or something like that, and he'd come through and you have like a hook on one hand or something. That'd be really, really cool. Yeah, it's just stuff like that. And then you talk about heyday for the game, which most people talk about either Warhammer or D&D, for example. Like, see, when most people were into like the Warhammer, the fantasy, when that was all there was, I was heavily into D&D at the time. So yeah, I kind of was involved, but not, if you know what I mean. My focus was slightly more steered towards the D&D side of things. Not so much terrain. Didn't really bother with terrain. We just used, when we thought having miniatures on the tabletop was the height of luxury for a role-playing game, because we started for a long, long time. It was just theatre of the mind. So we ended up with a combination of miniatures on the tabletop and theatre of the mind. The rest of it was like just described or drawn on a piece of paper, like a line, 2 lines representing a corridor. You put your miniatures in, marching order, what have you, right? And that's how it was. But that was the heyday. So I was going to ask you guys, what's the heyday for you? What is your hobby heyday? Now, for me, hobby heyday it wasn't just about the hobby. I call it Heyday because it encompassed other things as well, computers and childhood, friendships, that kind of thing, right? That kind of innocent, almost time of my life. So when I talk about Heyday, I'm talking about the 80s, the 1980s, when there was no internet, computer games were very basic. Gonna have some of this though, but awesome. I mean, that 3D Monster Maze, for instance, it's the first survival horror game I ever played. It is actually listed as the first survival horror game. It's cited by many as the first survival horror game. Cool. But no sound, but terrifying. My God, imagination made up for that. Imagination makes things better. It's like watching a horror movie, a good horror movie, something like Alien, where you don't really see that much of the alien, but it's hinted at. The horror is in the mind, and your mind creates it. It fills in those blanks, those gaps. It makes it truly horrifying. You know, what you can't see in the dark, right? Your mind makes it horrific for you. That's why you tend to fear it, for the most part. But for me, that was my heyday, using imagination more. And, you know, even on tabletop games, and I wasn't into Warhammer back then, but that's not to say I didn't play it at all. And I always thought, oh, yeah, this would be so cool. Can you imagine this on someone's like table in their shed or whatever, and it had some scenery on. I was like, whoa, this is epic. Imagine this in a role-playing setting. It would be out of this world, you know. It really would. So, you know, top marks for that. So that's what the heyday means for me. So let's get on to other things then. Let's get on to the week. Obviously, it's the weekend. It's Sunday today. It's a normal weekend for me today, so just 2 days, so really short. Last weekend was a long weekend. We had a 4-day weekend, like had Friday and Monday off, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And that was for the carnival, right? That was awesome. But this week it's just a normal weekend, and it's like, oh. So the weekend's gone really quickly. I'm sad for that. But next week, again, I'm gonna have a nice long 4-day weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Oh, just wanted it, and that's all good. So yeah. So that's all cool. I did hear talk of, oh yeah, they say it's going to get hot again in September. It was warm yesterday. There was some sunny spells, which was nice. Some really sunny spells. That was nice. I'll be honest. Sitting in the sun, it was like, yeah, it's not gone yet. You could have burnt. You know, if you took your top off and just sat in the sun all afternoon, you would have burnt. Not to the extent you would have done in the prime of the summertime, but yeah, it was still there. Yesterday was like, yeah, that sun is still hot. Today, however, wind and rain. I like being indoors, obviously, when it's raining. That sounds like a stupid thing to say. Of course I like being indoors when it's raining. I like being indoors. What I mean is I like being inside my house, in my hobby room when it's raining. Whereas before, do you remember I had that purpose-built studio, but it was located at the end of my garden. So it was pouring rain. I had to literally either, when I wanted to go back in, brave the wet, umbrella or a coat or whatever. Sometimes I'd be soaked just going from the house to the studio, or just have to wait till the rain leaves off and then make a dash for it. Whereas here, I don't know, it just feels more, I don't know, luxurious. It's the word I'm looking for, I think, luxurious. Yeah, so a chill with P. I do one of these. I'm trying to get better. You know, it's never too late, but I'm always trying to get better at YouTube. I'm trying to work out ways to get more views and things. I don't know. Someone once said, "Oh, you should stop doing the paint-alongs. They're too long. Nobody wants to watch them." But they're more for me than anyone else. I was like, well, I don't mind about the views on those because, like I say, that's more for my benefit than anyone else's. Although I like the thought of it helping other people get through laborious tasks, because there was a spate of them years ago. Many moons ago, lots of people were doing them, and I loved them. That was my heyday for YouTube, when everybody was doing paint-along videos. I loved it. I absolutely loved that. Now, not many people do it, but I've kept the torch going. I've carried the torch on throughout all that time since I first discovered them, and I still do them to this day. I have to choose my moments when I do them because of my limited time. That's just something at this point in my life when I have limited time because of work and that sort of thing. But yeah, last week I also finished my 3 Gene Stealers that came with Space Crusade, so I'm really pleased with those. Although I am going to put a couple of blood effects on the claws, just because I feel like it, because I want to. Yeah, I'm glad I've got my airbrush, because I don't think it's going to be good weather for spraying aerosols for a while now. The weather forecast does not look good for the foreseeable. And that said, next weekend, not raining but windy, might be able to get some aerosol spraying done then, but who knows. That said, I don't think I've got any black aerosol spray anyway, but I have got it for my airbrush, you know. Got the airbrush stuff, so I can airbrush my Marines, for example. I'll have to do them one squad at a time, just because that's how I want to do it. I want to paint up a squad at a time, make sure I got all their weapons right, you know, because I've got it so that they magnetize. You see, you know, this dude's carrying a Imperial Fist bolt gun. He's a blood angel, but that's just to show you that the magnetization works on everyone. That's fine, no problem. Magnetizing, my god, so much. I mean, when you're dealing with small magnets, it's very hard. It'd be easier to do on larger models with larger magnets, but these tiny ones, these like 2mm ones and 3mm ones, I mean, if I drop the 2mm one in the carpet, there's a 90% chance I've lost it. You know, I've lost it to the carpet void. I did find one, but that was just pure luck more than anything. But yeah, so yeah, that's the way it is. You know, that's the way it is. I still have a couple of miniatures left from the Pelennor Fields to do that was started prior to all this Space Crusade. I would say madness, but it's not. I love it. I just love it so much. I got a second Space Crusade set now, as you've probably seen, or if not, I have a second Space Crusade box set, which is supposedly complete. They all say that though. I've also picked up the old school Hero Quest board game. Oh my god, I love that. when I was younger. I'd left school when I got it, but I just loved it. But I have also picked up the modern version of it as well, and I'm going to have a look, see how they compare. It's going to be super fun painting them up, so I'm, looking forward to that. So that'll be good. What else? Excuse me. Oh. What's the way 15-16 minutes on the counter there? Blimey, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? Wow. Yeah, so my gene stealers are all but done. My androids or Necrons are nearly there, and I'm working on a dreadnought. So yeah, so he's going to be coming on as well. So that's all good too. I've glued the top half of the dreadnought there, so I may work on that all separately as like a sub-assembly sort of thing. Really contemplating doing that. Yeah, I am contemplating doing that. I've got some Artist Opus brushes now. Well, I've got 3. I've got a small dry brush, a size 1 and a size 0, which I think are the mainstay ones that I will need. I've got them stored in my wet palette at the moment because it's got a little like brush storage area in there, and I'm really going to try and be ruthless and go through my brushes, the ones that don't serve me well. If I look at a couple of brushes, would I use this for a small detail? If the answer is no, and I'm looking for another brush, then really it's time for that brush to go. And the Artist Opus ones, I'm just hoping will be good enough for me to use for a while, because they're supposed to be good. If the likes of Duncan Rhodes uses them and swears by them, then that's quite a good recommendation for me. I mean, I've always been an army painter man. I do like the army painter brushes. I've never been overly keen on the Games Workshop brushes, if I'm honest. I don't know if they make them like they do on purpose to try and push more sales. I don't know. Like with their paint pot lids not closing properly and drying out. Probably done on purpose to drive sales so you buy more. But it just drives people to a different product, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So yeah, I can really hear that rain coming down now. Really raining. So anyway, this is Sunday. This is Chill with Pete. I'm not sure when I'm going to upload this. Obviously next week. Yeah, that's something. I'm thinking, I'll tell you guys, because my confidants. I am only thinking about coming up with a new logo for Mini Warzone. Just thinking about it. A new logo, and everybody seems to be on the old, the merch bandwagon these days. So I'm thinking maybe I should as well. Get the old mugs and hats and t-shirts and whatever else done. See where I go from there, because I could wear the t-shirts in my paint along videos, which is something that someone I follow used to do, so that would be quite good, and I wouldn't mind doing that actually. So yeah, boy, I would definitely thinking about that. I like my logo. Sometimes I think, well, maybe it would just refresh the channel, though. It would just refresh it a little bit, and see where we go from there. this whole thing, people say, you know, you do your specific thumbnails, you do it differently for the specific video. They say that. Thumbnail, I don't know if it's just me, probably just me on this one. Thumbnails don't attract me to a video. The title is what attracts me to a video. So I place more emphasis on the title, how it's worded, as opposed to a thumbnail. You've got someone doing that or pointing to something, like with being cut out, put on a different background and pointing at a model or something. And I'm like, oh, these brushes worth it. That sort of thing I just think is a waste of time, to be honest. I don't think that doesn't attract me anymore. If the topic, the words are of interest to me, then I will click on it. Thumbnails, to me, it's neither here nor there. So I view a thumbnail as just almost like a branding that I recognise. Well, that's such and such a channel, and then I know what to expect from their style of video making, right? So I mean, I'm hoping people do that with me now. So I've got my little mini Warzone icon in the bottom of the screen when I do videos, but you know, that will change. And I would keep all old videos with the old logo, because it's part of the heritage of the channel, really. It is heritage of the channel. So anyway, after I've spoken about the things I wanted to, which was the heyday for the hobby, what do you think about the heyday of the hobby? What's the heyday of the hobby for you? Yeah, heyday for the games, heyday for the miniatures, because to me they are definitely different things. Well, they don't necessarily go hand in hand. That's just my own personal thoughts on the matter. So yeah, but anyway, here we are once again. Chill with Pete. I'm thinking about having a little go with some oil paints and oil washes and things. Just thinking about it. Get myself a little pot so I can put some spirits in, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. But that's something I'm thinking about doing. Yeah, so that'd be good. Other than that, I mean, I know I've been slated for the D&D campaign, never happening, but that I've been talking about like for past couple of years, isn't it? It all comes down to time. Because I work and I have to choose my projects, what I want to do. At the moment, I'm into Space Crusade. I want to pursue that. I'm heavily into Space Crusade. I really want to pursue that. And if I'm doing that, I can't do other stuff. So, you know, really, I have to choose one or the other. But I can't do both, you know, so... And I like to, with something like Space Crusade, where it's like from a box set, I like to finish it. You know, I like to finish a project. I mean, Hero Quest will be the same. And when I come onto those board games like Castle Ravenloft and, you know, all that sort of thing, Legend of Drizzt and... or Wrath of Shardlan or whatever it's called, those board games over there, yeah, I will start that and then I will finish that, you know, that's what I'll do. Space Hulk has been on my mind recently as well. It's on my radar, the other editions of it, essentially the other editions of Space Hulk, because more for the expansions than anything. I mean, I'm stunned that Space Crusade's got a couple of expansions. The Dreadnought expansion and the Eldar Attack expansion. I know they're hard to get, very expensive, but you know, I just love the look of it. You know, it looks fantastic, and what cracking ideas as well. And I want to play them. I want to play them. So, you know, sue me. I will be pursuing them. Yes, I want every edition of Space Hulk as well. Why not? If I can, with the old school miniatures, the old school Terminators on the 25mm bases. Yeah, because they don't make the squares big enough. Even on the that last Space Hulk, the squares were not big enough to fit those Terminators that came with it. They just weren't. You know, it needs to be on 25mm bases, whatever miniatures you're using, in order for the game to look and feel good. So, nah, that's just my thoughts. Anyway, so in between things, I will be finishing up some RPG miniatures, you know, like this sort of rogue character here. I'll leave that one out, actually. I'll do something on that today. King Theoden on horseback and standing, and the troll and the Romans, and yeah, I'll just be tidying them up, getting them finished here and there, and then I'll have even more space. And like I say, I've got to get rid of some of the brushes here because they're just knackered. They are knackered. They're not up to scratch. And then I'll have a load more space. And then once that's clear, get back to the unboxings and so on and so forth. And my goodness, 27 minutes. I really need to hurry up and bring this one to a close. As long as it takes me to drink. Ah. By the way, the carnival the last week, whenever it was cracking. I loved it. Might have been the week before, actually. I can't remember now. My brain and time, doesn't matter, but I love carnival, the high vibrations, good feeling atmosphere. I just love it. It makes me feel good. It raises my vibrations. Oh, I've been watching Alien Earth recently, as well as Ripper Street, two completely different series. One is obviously set in old Victorian London, like with Jack the Ripper, where he stalked the streets, and one is kind of like a prequel to Alien, the movie. I think it's set 4 years before then, or a couple of years before the first movie anyway. So really good. They're both so good, very well filmed. The cinematography is sublime for both of them. I think if I had to pick one where the cinematography is the best, probably Ripper Street nails it. But that said, it's so good for Alien Earth as well. They've really captured the old school Alien feel. Much better. Really, really good. So, yeah. Not to give any spoil. I mean, if anybody's interested in it, I mean, I like it's not just about aliens, it's about the corporations, because there's more corporations in this before Wayland and Yutani merged, and you know they formed the company, which basically they took over the governments because governments were crap. Oh, there's no surprise. Running the world, so the corporations run the world, and it's about the corporations competing with each other. You got all the mistrust of the corporations and the different subtle layers of who do you trust. You got the technology. You got the synthetics, obviously. You've got hybrids in this. which they can, at the moment, they're going to use children's minds. They can put children's minds, download it into a synthetic body, which is interesting. And cyborgs, human and robotic combinations. So there is that too. And of course the alien itself, and other aliens actually, where mankind has been meddling with the DNA, trying to come up with new forms of life, etc. And of course it goes horribly wrong, doesn't it? Which, you know, it's the lesson always, is it not? Anyway, I won't spoil it for you. But that said, if you're a fan of Alien, you will love it. That's end of my coffee, and that's the end of the video. So thanks for joining me on this episode of Chill with Pete. Yeah, Hobby Heyday. I'll see you on another one. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.